Emily Crookston. Welcome to Entrepreneur Talks podcast, run by Women Flicks. And my name is Yola, and I'm so grateful for your presence on our podcast today.
Hi, Yola. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Wow. So, before we start, tell me, I always ask this to my guests. Where are you talking from? Because I can see the sunshine, which is not in London. So,
Yes, I'm in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. If you know the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, that's where I'm at.
Oh, amazing. And it's summer there?
No, it's fall, but we get a lot of sunshine. Well, yesterday was raining, but we get some sunshine in the fall. It's nice. I really love the fall here.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
But the sun is so bright that looks like it's summer. But
right. We can pretend.
It's always a summer day in our hearts if you want, right?
There you go. Yeah, love it. Awesome.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm gonna go straight to my questions to you, and I'm so excited to get to know all about you and your business.
Awesome. Yay, I'm happy to be here.
To Emily. So Emily, when it comes to business development, what is your advice?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I love, for me, when it comes to business development, the time I spend working on my business is really important. So I try really hard to schedule like 50% of time on client work, 50% of time on the business, whenever possible. So that would be my first tip, like make sure that you can make time for business development. One of the things that I've been really focusing on for the past several months, since the pandemic and everything hit, is really getting visible with my business online, on social media, doing more podcast guest spots like this, getting out on LinkedIn and posting every day, that kind of stuff.
Ah, okay, because you said invisible or visible?
Visible. Getting more visible, yes.
I was like,
being invisible, superpower.
Times for being visible. Yeah,
exactly.
This is the opportunity. Yes. So thank you so much for this advice for my listeners. And so we just started from that advice that you gave. So tell me more about your industry. What exactly do you do?
Yeah, so I am a ghostwriter, and I started out my working, so I used to be a professor. I used to teach philosophy. And so when I started my business, a friend of a friend was looking for marketing help, and I'll have to admit that I really didn't know what marketing was, but I said, oh, sure, I can do it. And ended up writing blog posts for her. She owns a web development company, and so she had clients who needed blog posts and content. And so I became a content marketer. So I started writing for people. And along the way, someone said, oh, you're a ghostwriter. And I thought, that fits better than marketer, because really, I don't like to write copy. I don't like to write website content. I like to write articles, and I like to write books. So I started saying I'm a ghostwriter and looking for longer projects. And now I pretty much exclusively write business books for people. I have a couple blogging clients still, but the main business is writing books and editing books.
Wow. So when you say writing books for people, for businesses, they give you the content or you need to create?
They give me the ideas most of the time. Yeah, I ask them to come with an outline at the minimum, and then we talk. I can interview you and write based on the interview, or if you have enough material to start with, because some people have talks that they've given, or they have a lot of blog posts that they could use, and I can take those and expand them into a book. So there's a lot of different ways that I work.
So you work very hard, I can see, because you always creating stuff. Wow.
Yes, it's a lot of creative work, but I really like it. Sometimes for me, the hardest part is coming up with the initial idea, even for my own blog post, So I really like the collaboration of, here, you're bringing me ideas and I'm building on those. So it's fun.
And Emily, when it comes to the end of, like, let's say you finish the book, it needs to be released. Is your name going into the book or just the honor?
Nope, just the honor of doing the work behind the scenes and getting paid well for it. Yeah. My name is usually not on it. If I do editing, then I'll often get mentioned in the acknowledgement section.
No,
not for the creating. Yeah, behind the scenes.
Yes, but at least it's somewhere, right? Because editing is one thing, because that means you have a part on that book.
Right. Well, it can be a little bit of a challenge because, it's hard for clients who want to see how I work and want to see examples of my writing. I can't just say, oh, here's a book that I wrote, because I do offer confidentiality to my ghostwriting clients. That's part of the deal. But I often will say, oh, clients are happy to talk, to other people and talk about my work. It's just that you can't usually see my samples exactly of my writing. You can see my blog posts and things like that.
But yes, that's right. That's why you are called Ghostwriter.
Yes. Exactly. Yes, secret. Yeah. Spooky.
You are them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and thank you so much for answering that. And if someone is willing to make a career transition, what is the 3 first steps you would say to them?
Yeah, so first I would say have some kind of plan, a flexible plan, right? We can't always, everything's uncertain. You can't always know, you can't, I don't know about having a 5-year plan. That doesn't usually work out if you're going to be very strict about following that. But have a plan in mind that's flexible, so you have a path to follow that you're building yourself. Yeah. So that would be the first thing. When I left academia, I said I'm giving myself a year to figure out my next move. And so I did this internship with my friend with marketing, and that helped. So that gave me something to follow. But of course, I didn't know I was going to be a ghostwriter. I didn't know I was even going to start a business at that point. So it's good to have a flexible plan. Then I would say, don't overthink it. I think a lot of times when we want to transition, we can talk ourselves out of it by thinking too much and thinking we need to read everything we can read about an industry before we jump in, or I need to take all these certification classes before I can go look for a job in this field. And it's usually not true. I think the third thing is to start talking to people as soon as you can. People are so generous. Like anybody who wants to have a 15-30-minute call with me, pretty much I'm game for doing that. And most of the people I've met have been that way too. I've been really impressed with how generous people are with their time. Just, ask if you can talk to them. And all you have to do is come with some questions, and there'll be a conversation started. It's not hard. You don't need to have an interview. You don't have to put on your interview hat to meet with someone or talk with somebody.
I agree so much with you. I totally agree. I believe on that 3, like the first steps, that they are very important, especially these ones that you just mentioned. And so you mentioned before as well that you were a teacher, philosophy teacher.
Right.
So you've always been writing, right?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
That's why this little thing came out easily, because it's something that you used to and you enjoy. Because it's very important for us to enjoy, right?
Absolutely.
Do something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I think so, because, people always say, follow your passions. I think people say one of 2 things. They say, follow your passion, do what you love, or they say, oh no, your passion is for the fun time, like work is work. But I think what's important about doing what you love is that it keeps you motivated. And no matter what job you're in, no matter what kind of deadlines you're under, if you're not excited about it, your job is just going to be so much grunt work, And so loving it, or at least enjoying what you're doing, is just helpful in showing up every day. So many people, have a 9-to-5 job and they're miserable because, they just don't love what they do. And I just don't think there's reason to be miserable. You There's always something you can do. Maybe it's just that you're miserable in your role. Maybe you want to ask your boss for a different role. Maybe you want to take on a different project that you've never done, these kinds of things. So there are opportunities, even if you're not in a position to leave the job you're in and try something else. But, it's so important to just find those even little grains of excitement in your day that can keep you moving forward.
I love your energy. Yes, and I completely agree.
Yeah. The energy carries me forward. I draw on energy from other people. That's the hardest part about being in lockdown. It's just like missing people. So yeah,
but we need to go with the flow. We need to go find the way, find the glow on this, the momentum during this situation, even if we are away from people. So just having this kind of conversation or this kind of video give us some energy somehow.
Yeah. Right. Well, I believe very strongly that happiness is an inside job. I think a lot of people blame their circumstances and blame so many, everything outside of them for feeling badly. But it's you can be happy, inside. Yeah, you can turn inside and find a lot of happiness.
Wow. So I love it. You wrote a book, and it's a business book. What values the process brought you?
Yeah, so in terms of writing a business book for your own business, I always try to tell my clients, you're not likely to make money back selling your book. Whatever you put into writing the book and selling it online and promoting it and all of that, you're not likely to gain back that investment based solely on book sales. But what you can do is you can use your book as a platform to build your audience. You can use your book as a platform to do speaking opportunities. You can even raise your fees if you're a consultant. A lot of consultants will use the book as almost a cheap business card, $4 business card that they can, give away to people so that they can increase their clientele, their group of clients, or increase their fees when it comes to speaking. So those are kind of the main, values of writing a book for a business. Increasing brand awareness and getting the word out about what you do.
That's really interesting because I never heard about the strategy, the way you mentioned that you put together about the book, like not getting income from the book, but use the book as a pathway for your
yes. Really? Yeah, you should think of it as a marketing piece. It's a product almost. If you're selling products, it's another product that you're trying to sell. But yeah, it's just that to make a lot of money on book sales, you have to have a huge audience. If you have a huge audience, then it's totally possible. Brené Brown makes money on her books, I'm sure. But if you're just a regular business owner like me or you, you're not likely to make back money on book sales because you just don't have as much, unless you're going to make the book the centerpiece of your business and you're going to put all of your energy into selling it, then sure. But most of us aren't doing that. We're seeing it as a marketing piece.
Yes, I do agree. So, and your book is called?
Oh, I don't have a book. I'm thinking about writing my book next year. I don't have one yet.
I thought you wrote a book. I understand.
Oh, no.
What about?
That's a project for next year, though. I'm excited. Yeah, to get started on that.
What about the Confessions of a Ghostwriter?
Great question. Yeah, Confessions of a Ghostwriter. I've thought about doing a blog series on exactly this kind of topic. I think it could be really fun. So I've heard from a lot of people who are hesitant to hire a ghostwriter. I've heard some horror stories about using ghostwriters. And it's true that you're getting vulnerable when you work with a ghostwriter. You are giving your ideas to someone else and asking them to speak in your voice. And there's some vulnerability there. There's a concern about people, maybe stealing your words or stealing your ideas. And so that's an important thing to look at in a contract and make sure that you're satisfied with what that contract says about those sorts of things. You may even want to ask your ghostwriter to sign an NDA. That's not a bad idea. Have them sign something that says, I understand that these are not my ideas and I'm not going to be using them under my name, something along those lines. Good idea. In terms of confessions of a ghostwriter, I don't know. That's a hard, I'm trying to think if I have some good stories that I can
What you're going to say there? It's like, I don't know either. But confessions of those might be, I've been writing for the famous people, but I can't mention names.
Yeah, well, that's probably the biggest one, is that a lot of the books you read may not be written by the people that you're reading.
Then talking about, I think on the ghostwriter writer, you can change names if you have someone that is famous and you wrote a book and you just tell us about your story, like how did you felt, when you saw that person, and talking on the phone and thinking, oh my God, I'm talking with this something. I can't believe it. This is the stories behind like the ghostwriter.
Yeah, you'll never believe it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess the most interesting ones are when I write a memoir for somebody, when it's like literally I am taking on their persona and taking on their voice. That is hard. And I did write a book for a professional dancer one time, and so there was a lot of insights into the professional dancing world that I didn't know about, like body image issues, anorexia, these kinds of things, which according to the book, they're pretty prevalent and common among in that world. So that was an interesting thing to look into.
So you can start this, Emily, the confession. You can tell us about how you felt when you wrote that book, because you didn't have an idea, and this professional dancer brought you to another level of the dance world.
Yes, insider. Yeah. Very interesting. You're right. This is a good angle for me. I need to be taking notes on this.
I'm talking here from the side as a reader.
Right.
What I want to know from a ghostwriter is who she's been talking to, who she's been writing, not specific names, but you've been dealing with experience with people that you never know, and they are some, I don't know, they can be famous, they cannot be famous, maybe they don't like to talk, they didn't like to do a video, I don't know. Any story is interesting because you are a ghost.
Exactly. I am the fly on the wall, right? We all want to be flies on the wall when in those rooms where the celebrities are talking. But
for this blog or book, it can be a book.
Right. I love it. Yes, it's a good idea. Yes, I'm going to keep this in mind for sure. See, most of my clients, they have dreams of having a big stage and being famous, but most of them are starting out. That direction.
Never know. After writing. Because I believe, like, even as a ghostwriter, you can also make up some stories that it will make people like, wow, oh, the ghost can go that way, that far.
Right, exactly.
So, I don't know what kind of. But it sounds really exciting.
It is. It's really fun. I really love it. I love the work.
You love writing, so I'm just here. Saying a lot of stuff, but I'm a dreamer though.
Very good. Yes.
So, and what comes up to your mind when you hear these words? Owning your expertise.
Owning your expertise, yeah. So what comes to mind for me is that owning your expertise is a process. I think people think of expertise as being the end goal. Like, I'm going to climb to the top of the mountain and then I'm going to look out and see my empire below me. But owning your expertise starts from day one. It starts at the beginning. It starts as you climb the mountain. All of that is about owning your expertise. So I like to say it's about the process of becoming the ghostwriter, becoming the business owner that you are, becoming the entrepreneur that you want to be. All of that, if you embrace the process, I think it's going to make life easier. It's going to make what you're doing more fun. And it's going to make you feel more confident as you're building whatever empire you're building and as you're climbing that mountain.
Oh, beautiful. Which comes, and then which I think comes down to three things. Ditch, believe, and translating your expertise for others.
Yes, 100%. So die in a ditch belief. What's your die in a ditch belief? I love to ask people that question. So it's a belief that you hold that you'd be willing to defend if someone pressed you on it. It's something you hold pretty close. And so I lately have come to believe that, well, one of my die in a ditch beliefs that I've come around to lately is that, just like I said earlier, happiness is an inside job. If I could wave a magic wand and fix the world, that is a belief that I would want to give to people so that they could see, that the only way forward is to go deeper inside and figure out who you are and what you want. And that makes looking out into the world so much clearer for everyone. And then, translating your expertise. I think this is one of the keys to being recognized as an expert, is figuring out how to translate your expertise. I think when you first start your business, a lot of people will ask you, who's your ideal client? That's a big question you get all the time. Niche down, figure out what your niche is. And I think, those are important things to consider, but even more important than that is figuring out how your skills can add value for other people. And that's a matter of, I like to think of it as translating. You're translating your skills and your talents into value for other people. How do you do that? If you can state that clearly for other people, then you're in really good shape to get people to buy what you're trying to sell. And people say this all the time, people aren't buying ghostwriting from me. They are buying a brand, or they are buying the platform, the stage that they need to take their business to the next level. They're not buying writing. That's not what they value. They value the results of having the book done.
It's not based on what you're going to write. It's based on what is coming after. And that's really...
And so that's always my first question with clients. What's the goal for this book? Why are you writing it? Because if you don't have a good goal, if it's just, well, my clients have told me that I should write a book, that's not probably enough to carry you through the process, because it's a difficult process. You've got to be thinking longer term, end goal. What are you going to do with it once it's published?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. You helping me a lot.
Good.
My book, because I did, like you mentioned at the beginning, as a small business, as a starters, I'm not a huge business, right? And started, soon I started, I wrote a book, which is a series of 4 books.
Okay.
I've got the other ones ready, but it's never been a famous book. It's about coaching.
Right.
It's coaching.
Sure.
And while you're talking, I'm like, okay. Because when I believe, now my audience, my network is bigger. So when I bring out the second and the third and the fourth, it will be more popular, will be more, because at the beginning I didn't have that network that I do have now. And I believe that people will follow more.
Right. That's probably true. The bigger your audience, the better your chances of selling more books. Absolutely. Yeah. And definitely, think about the marketing lead up to the launch of the book. I think a lot of authors don't think about marketing their book until it's done and it's out or it's launched, but you could be marketing it even before you've started writing it. You can be telling your audience, a book is coming, and that gives you motivation to keep writing and keep moving, because you're like, oh, people are waiting for this. And it gets them excited so that they're paying attention when it does drop, and then they're like, ooh, I'm going to be the first one to get a copy. You know? So there's little ways to build momentum. I'm not an expert by any means in book marketing, but there's definitely a science and art to that. That's important.
I'm involved in some writers and authors groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. I've seen a lot of people talking about that side, because it's a side where you write, and there is a side where you promote and publish and spread the word, because it's two different platforms. It's completely, you need to have someone expert on this side, and maybe a ghostwriter or even yourself. I love this, the idea about ghostwriter. I wouldn't be a ghostwriter.
Right. So it depends a lot on how much you like to write, if you have the time to do it. If you like writing and it's fun for you, you can definitely DIY your books, and many people are very successful doing it that way, and that's great.
Yeah, I do like to write, but not like you, like the book. I like to write my things, but no, I know people that like to write. I'm not no.
I see. Yeah.
I just like to write. Is that? But not books. I admire your work, because I'm sure you spend hours and hours creating stuff, and that's so amazing, because at the same time you're learning a lot.
That's what I love.
Increasing experience, because even through the writing and the reading, we get a lot of experience. We learn things, and we don't act again on the same way that we used to, because we know that we'll take, because you read somewhere, you write them like, wow. And you need to search, right? You need to do a research about.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the work I do, is getting to learn about a new area, that I don't know anything about, and get in there.
And then, Emily, is another question for you. You probably, when you're writing for different people, you also have the type of writing, right? Like, let's say I'm very, like the dancer you mentioned, is more, how to say, probably depends. The people will tell you if they want some formal writing or funky writing, or I don't know. And you need to add that type of writing. Oh my God, I would go.
So I only do nonfiction. I don't know how people can do ghostwriting for fiction, though I know there are ghostwriters out there who do that. But that to me seems like writing a novel for someone. That's way outside my level of expertise and comfort. So I do my best to fit with my client's personal style. So that's why the more samples of their own writing that I can get my hands on, the easier. But also, I think I naturally kind of pick up on words and phrases and, tone of language that people use in conversation. And my writing's very conversational. So that helps. I kind of start hearing their voice in my head as I'm writing, which can really, help to create that style that they're looking for. And I also tell my clients right up front, I'm like, if you would never say something I write, if you would never say it this way, tell me, like right up front, just say, look, I would never say it that way. That's helpful feedback for me. That shows me, how, right. So I've written some books for like doctors, medical providers, and they have really interesting theories about how to talk about pain with their clients, for example. And so, they would say, we can't say this because this will scare people. Or, you can't talk about pain in this way, this discomfort feeling. You can't talk about pain being in someone's head. Don't talk about it that way, because they'll be offended or they'll get scared or whatever. So that was an interesting thing to learn, that we need to soften some of the language around that.
Especially on medicine, yes.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Like health is something very particular.
Right.
People will be scared, like you mentioned. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all
Learning experience.
this
Yeah, it's fun to talk about it. Yeah.
adventures that you've been doing in your life.
Yes.
Love it. I love it. So
Awesome.
last question is,
Okay.
how can people connect with you and get to know more about your work or find
Great. Yes, I am on LinkedIn, Emily Crookston. You can find me on LinkedIn. My website is thepocketphd.com. And all those links are going to be in the notes, I think, with the show here. But those are the best places to find me. I have a course for DIY authors called Business Book 90 that's on my website as well. And yeah, I'd love to connect with people.
Fantastic. And as Emily mentioned, I will be putting all the links for her pages and courses that she's giving opportunity for you to check, my listeners, about courses, 4-phase framework, right? The business book, and then the blog where we're gonna see the confessions of the
Exactly. Yes.
dreaming about.
That's right. Yes.
It's gonna be under the description podcast when it comes live. I thank you so much for being here with me today. And amazing opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yusa. It's been great.
Take care and keep writing, and let me know when this confessions comes out. No matter if it's a blog or if it's a book, I'm willing to. I'm so excited. I love the idea because the name is so powerful and straight away gives me how we say this intrigue. Oh, I want to know what she's been doing. What kind of profession she's gonna bring out, like she's gonna confess about what?
Oh yes, I love that idea. So look out for that.
Thank you, Emily. You take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.